everyone here from Talking Films Online, TFO for short. TFO was founded almost on a whim by Professor Nikhila and myself in June 2020 during the lockdown. Since then, TFO has had uninterrupted discussions on films from all over the world every Saturday at 9 p.m. on Zoom. It is a group of film scholars, researchers, students, teachers, and anyone passionate about cinema. It has been our practice to invite people to select and lead the discussion of the chosen film, which we watch in our own time and place. On some occasions, filmmakers, editors, and cinematographers have also joined our sessions. Aparna Sen, Amol Palekar, Girish Kasarvalli, and Adur Gopalakrishnan, to name a few. We have held film festivals such as East European, Iranian, Women's Cinema, and others. In the month of June each year, to celebrate our anniversary, we hold a smartphone short film making contest for students and a lecture series in various university departments. In September 2024, we held our first offline event, an international seminar on Indian cinema in the digital era, continuities and discontinuities, in collaboration with Forum on Contemporary Theory, Baroda. This evening is indeed special for us. We will be discussing the internationally acclaimed film made by Payal Kapadia, All We Imagine as Light. For the first time, an Indian film won the Grand Prix at Cannes. With this win, Payal Kapadia, an FTII alumnus, becomes the first Indian to bag this prestigious award. And this comes after 30 years when Shaji N. Karun Swaham competed for the highest honor. We are delighted to have with us Robin Joy. Robin Joy is currently Assistant Professor, Screenwriting and Direction at Ahalya School of Media Studies and Future Technologies, Palakkad. After graduating in mechanical engineering, he began assisting in short films and projects for film school students, which ignited his love for directing. This passion took him to the direction and screenwriting program at FTII Pune. Upon completing the course, he moved to Mumbai and worked as an assistant writer and assistant director on several films. In 2022, he began working with Payal Kapadia on her acclaimed feature film, All We Imagine as Light, as associate director and the dialogue writer for Malayalam. We also have with us Tintumol Joseph, who essayed the role of one of the nurses alongside Kani Kusruti. Tintumal works as a voiceover artist, anchor, and translator. She has given her voice for many government and private commercials, documentaries, and e-tutorials. She has also acted in plays, short films, and feature films. She won the Kerala Sangeet Natak Academy Award for Best Actress in the national level amateur drama competition for Pravasi Malayali in 2017. She acted as Nurse Shannon in All We Imagine as Light. To initiate the discussion on the film, we have with us Abhijeet Ranadive. Abhijeet needs no introduction to TFO members. However, it is still my privilege to introduce him. Abhijeet teaches and writes about cinema, visual arts, media, and technology. His writings are published in mainstream Marathi newspapers and periodicals. He also works as creative head and member of the selection committee at the Pune International Film Festival. He has edited an art historical biography of the painter V.S. Gaitonde and selected writings of the painter Prabhakar Barve. He has translated L'étranger by Albert Camus from French to Marathi and The Creative Circuit, a collection of essays on the visual arts by the noted painter and theoretician K.G. Subramanian from English to Marathi. Welcome to all our guests, and over to you, Abhijeet.
Hi everyone, I hope I'm audible
Yes, yes, you
and
are.
visible also.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Um, so first of all, it's always a pleasure to join TFO, and I've been associated with it for a few years now, and it's a joy to see people watching films and discussing them so patiently and so passionately also. So very happy to be here. Now, today's film, I think, it's been one of the most talked about films in India and also outside India. And so, therefore, a lot of things have been said about it. And I'm sure a lot of people are also very passionate about what they feel about that film, whether they've liked it, disliked it, or what they think has been done there, and so on. And so, we kind of come with a baggage of all these things that have been said about the film in print media, social media, and elsewhere, and so on. But leaving all that aside, uh, I would like to start with a few images. And the reason for that is, you see, Payal's film, and not just this film, but even the earlier film that she has made, she's very strong on her visuals. So it's almost as if her films say more through the visuals and sound as well than through the actual dialogue or what gets spoken. And the moment I started watching this film, I was reminded of a few paintings. And so I would like to share my screen and show you something. Let me just see if I can make that happen. I've shared an image. Can you see it?
Yes, yes, we can, Abhijeet.
Okay, good. So this is a painting, a very famous painting actually from Picasso's Blue Period. And as some of you might know, these are paintings which are predominantly painted using a blue palette, and very few warm colors ever appear in those paintings. And very often they are showing people who are melancholic or they are in despair for some reason. And so the whole period is blue, not just because of the color palette, but also blue because of the mood that it creates. And when you watch the film, you realize that the entire Bombay part of the film has a very noticeable dominance of the blue palette, whether it is the nurses' uniforms, whether it is other things, and the whole film, even the inside of the local trains and so on. So the entire film seems to, first of all, happen at night. There are very few scenes, I think, that happen during the day, and even the ones that do happen during the day, you do see a prevalence of blue there. And in a way, I felt that she's borrowed this sensibility from Picasso's Blue Period because she does want to portray characters who are living in Mumbai, and there is a certain sorrow or melancholy to them. I'm also going to show you another painting. Can you see this one now? It's a different painting that I've shared.
No, not really. It's the same
Okay.
one on the
I
screen.
think I think I have to do something else. I'll stop sharing. Yeah, can you see the
Yes.
other painting? Yes.
Now.
So this is a painting by a painter called Arpita Singh. And as many of you might know, India, especially modern India post-independence, has a very strong body of work by women painters. And very often they are portraying the lives of women And even pre-independence era, you will find people like Amrita Shergill, whom many of you might be familiar with. And she has also painted women who are melancholy. And so, just like this painting by Arpita Singh, so you don't really know their stories, but you see their faces and you have a feeling that um, there is something that bites at them. There is something that makes them um, either unhappy or melancholic or something like that. Then I will show you another painting. Yeah, can you see the next painting?
Yes, yes.
So this is a painting by Nalini Malani, again a very important painter from the 20th century or contemporary Indian art. And she also happens to be the mother of Payal Kapadia. And so many people, I mean, I've heard many people say many things about the film, but I haven't heard from many people that, how this, in a way, her Payal's work relates to the paintings of her mother or her other contemporaries. But so even in this painting, you will see that there are these women's faces and they're sitting or doing something. And again, in the faces, you find something which is very unnerving or again melancholic or disturbing. And of course, these are not the only painters, but you will often find that these women who have lived in today's India and who have lived the experiences of working women, professional women, and they have seen other women. And so, very often, there is this sense that there is something missing or there is something unnerving in their lives, and they try to portray that. And even sometimes in some of the men painters, also you will find these kinds of faces. Like if you're familiar with the work of Sudhir Patwardhan or Gieve Patel, you will find that their people are having these kinds of expressions. Uh, so in a way, I found that in many frames within the film, I found that there are areas where it is not just a question of the frame being painterly, but she is kind of inspired by these traditions, and she is driving her characters through even their facial expressions to do something similar. So I will show you now a screenshot from the film. Can you see this now?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
So this is the scene where the two of them, Chaya Kadam's character Parvati and Prabha, Kani's character, they're traveling in the bus and they're talking about their lives. In fact, this is the scene where uh, Parvati asks her about her husband, and she tells the story, I think, about how soon after their marriage he went to job to work, and then she hasn't seen him since, and he's not even called her for a year. And so you see that prevalence of the blue palette that I was talking about earlier, and you also see how they're talking to each other. There is a certain communication. They are friends, and not just friends, but they're also talking to each other about their lives. And the expressions that they have in many scenes, you will find that they are similar to some of these paintings that I talked about. So that sense of melancholy is there throughout that first part of the film, which takes place in Bombay. I'll show you another screenshot. Can you see this other screenshot? It's a very dark frame, so I don't know if you can make
Yeah,
out.
We can, although it's very dark. So
Right, right. So
yeah,
it
yeah.
is curry at night. This is a little after she's received the pressure cooker presumably from the husband. And so there is even the pillows and the bed covers are in blue, and her face is almost this bluish black. And she's thinking, and she is obviously, based on the context, we understand there that she's thinking about her husband and her life, and what is uh, where is she right now, and where has she come to in a way, and where would she like her life to take? And she's in two minds about what she should do about her life and so on. So there is this whole, like I said, visual language that she uses to say what she wants to say. And it is, sometimes it can be for, especially if the audience is used to getting everything from the dialogue. Sometimes people found it, very obscure, and they said that, yeah, I didn't understand this film, or I didn't know what, I couldn't figure out what she was trying to say, and so on. But I feel that it is her strong background in visual arts, and also, of course, in cinema, because she was a student of the FTI, and she has even many of her interviews, she's talked about her influences. And so one influence that I was reminded of when I watched her film was Agnes Varda's Cleo from 5 to 7. I don't know how many of you have seen the film, but the scenes in the beginning of Files film where you see Bombay at night, and you see all the hustle and bustle on the streets. And I think people are talking about, we never see those people, but people are talking about their experiences or their opinions about, for them, what is Bombay like? What is the city like? What has it given them? And what kind of feelings do they have for it, and so on. And we see, so on the audio track, we hear those experiences, and visually we see these streets of Mumbai, which are, you know, even late at night, they're always bustling with people, and there's a lot of life happening on the streets and so on. So it reminded me very much of some of the scenes in the towards the beginning of Cleo when uh, so it's a character who has she's a very beautiful young woman. She's also successful as a singer. One of her songs is very popular, and but the film shows 2 hours in her life where she's waiting for a result of a test which might tell her that she has cancer. And so there is this sudden realization that life is ephemeral, and it can end any time, and even her beauty is not going to last. And so, it kind of makes her introspective. And so Agnes Varda shows her walking in the streets, or shows streets of the streets of Paris, in which she is looked at, and also she's looking at it, and so on. And so these initial scenes of Bombay from Payal's film very much reminded me of that. Another filmmaker that I was reminded of was Chantal Akerman, who, as again, some of you might have seen her films. So she has consistently shown stories of women who are in this kind of an urban isolation, and perhaps not a lot of things happen on screen, but in a way we get to see their lives up close, and we understand the kind of emotions or the kind of feelings that they might be, her characters might be having. And I feel that throughout this film, Payal keeps doing something similar in the when she shows us the lives of these three women, and as we slowly, of course, uh, become familiar with their lives and what is happening with them, we start understanding these what in a way what makes them happy, what makes them unhappy, or what makes them melancholic, because each of them has something that is biting at their minds, and slowly we discover that. Something else that, of course, I'm reminded of is, this whole neo-realistic film movement. Because so even somebody like Anis Varda, so she started off as a documentary filmmaker, and slowly she incorporated her ideas of documentary filmmaking into her fiction films. She was also a photographer, I think, to start with. Um, and so even here, if you read about the film, you will realize that, I mean, not just visually, the film feels very neorealistic, because there is no decoration or there's no dramatization of the frame. And at the same time, just like I talked about the Blue Period and Picasso's paintings and so on, still through the visuals, it is trying to say something. And not just that, so in terms of even the research that she's done for the film, she has said that she's interviewed many people. She's interviewed many nurses also. I think at some point she mentioned that she's interviewed something like 200 people before she actually wrote the script. And perhaps Robin can tell us more about that later on. Uh, but what that has meant is, there are certain elements in the film, that come through the lives of these nurses, such as these smelly placentas, or the erection of a patient, or even this scene where Anu's character gives contraceptives to this woman who's come visiting, and she already has three children, and now she wants to stop having them. At the same time, her husband is not ready for a vasectomy, and it's a very um, it's a slice of real life from the lives of Indian women, and we know that these situations arise very often in a marriage where um, the woman knows that she doesn't need another child, or they don't have the means to feed another child, and still, because of family pressure or various reasons, or her husband and so on, she is forced to have them, and so on. So it's these kinds of things that render the film its neo-realistic palette, if I may say so. At the same time, there is also, how do you call it? Um right from the beginning, it's also a very character-driven film, in the sense that it is these three characters, and things happen in their lives that take the story forward. So, for example, in Prabhas' case, it is the arrival of the cooker, which kind of prompts this whole discussion about what her husband is, and what her life has been like without the husband, or in the absence of the husband, and so on. And it also makes her, we can see her initially, before the arrival of the cooker, we have seen her, being a very competent nurse, and being there for her patients, and so on. And after this cooker incident, she is suddenly, we see her introspective and becoming this. So we see, in fact, if you remember right in the beginning, the first frame in which she appears is, I think, inside the local train. And I have to say that I really loved her acting, because in that one single frame, which is the introduction to us of her character, she manages to convey this mix that she is, at one level, uh, she, I guess, likes her job. She's very competent in that, and it gives her a sense of purpose. She's happy, you can say, in a way, in the job. And there's this tinge of sadness, or something missing, or something melancholic, and she manages to convey that in her expression, right in the first frame when we see her. And then, of course, in Anu's case, it is the Muslim boyfriend, and she's very much in love with him. She's a very young and vivacious girl. She's full of life, and at the same time, she knows that there is no way her parents are going to accept Muslim Jamai, or the son-in-law, or whatever. And so she's constantly worried about that. She's worried about the um, what her life has in store for her, because of the situation that she finds herself in. And then, of course, in Parvati's case, it is her eviction. So these are, very, in a way, dramatic happenings in the film that are driving the story. Um, at the same time, it's a very interesting juxtaposition of these three women. They are very different from each other. They have different backgrounds, and at the same time, they come together and they kind of bring sort of when they come together, it is at that time to the film really starts sparkling with something that is totally different from all the melancholy that we've been seeing in all the blue or the Bombay parts of the film. So to show you that, I will show you again another frame from a different part of the film. Can you see this?
Yeah, we can.
So once they get to Konkan, that is, I believe the film is shot in Ratnagiri, which is on the in the coastal area of Maharashtra. And suddenly the light changes. So all this time we were seeing this blue, depressing nights of Bombay, and even during the day it was kind of dark and all that. Suddenly these faces get lit by the sunlight. You see the sea, uh, and you see this lady Parvati going into the sea, and for the first time, you get a feeling that she's free for the first time in the film. And we have seen the kind of wretched life that she has led so far. Her husband was a mill worker, and then when the mills stopped working, he lost his job. So the mill owner has offered this place where she lives, and then that also, because she is not the rightful owner legally, she is evicted from that, and she has to go back to her village. But then, with the light changing, the characters change. And I will also show you Anu from the same scene. Sorry, I'll also show you Prabha from that same scene where she's looking at Parvati. Can you see this now?
Yes.
So we see how the changed light has also, and also the change of place has suddenly changed her mood, and she is slowly starting to smile. So there is still a frown on her face, and I mean it might be because of the sunlight, but it's also, it's almost like a part of her face, and yet we see her smiling, we see her slowly changing her mood, and so the film, we know that the film has definitely changed direction because of the fact that these three women find themselves in a totally different place, away from the hospital, away from the drudgery, away from the local travels, and so on. And slowly, what we realize is that um, so there is this sense that there is the story, there are these images, there are these emotions that are being conveyed through the images as well as the story. And but we slowly start realizing that there is this lyrical aspect of the film that slowly starts coming to the fore. I mean, even in the Mumbai part, there are places where we do see or we do sense a certain lyricism, but here it starts coming to the fore, and then it's almost as if from neorealistic film that was presumably depicting the harsh realities of the lives of these three women. We are going towards a film that is lyrical, that is poetic, that is dreamlike also. And then we see so it's almost like a different sensation. It's almost like the whole texture of the film changes, and changes for something better. And it's not as if you know, life has given them joy, but it is just the fact that these three women, they are friends with each other, they are together, they have each other, and they are talking about anything and everything in their lives with each other, and that is what gives birth to this poetry. That is what gives birth to this joy, and so which is how we come to the end of the film, where in a way, has life changed dramatically for them or drastically for them? Not really. I mean, nothing revolutionary has happened really. But it's, you know, it's just that feeling that they have of being together, being comfortable with each other, liking each other's company, being friends with each other, and having this calm, having this peace by just sitting on the beach, you know, in that shack. And you know, there's this fourth person, the boyfriend, who's also come into the frame now. And so, in a way, he completes the picture because it is that one thing that gives Anu her joy, and the fact that they have accepted him as you know, a part of their lives gives it a certain sense of you know, joy again to that frame. And then there is the fifth element, which is the this girl who is who's there in that shop selling, I don't know, soft drinks and snacks and things like that. And so she's just listening to some music on her headphones and she's dancing, and we see the lights. So it's, you know, this whole black night around them. We know that the sea is behind them, and you know, that shack is lighting in those bright lights. So it's almost as if, you know, the film is hopeful and poetic, and ends on that note where they have a sense of euphoria and they have a sense of happiness. Uh, so it's, I think it's a very complex story that she's trying to tell, because it is not really about what is happening in their lives. It is not really about what they're talking to each other, but it is more about, you know, what is going on in their minds, and to try to convey that, and to try to convey that joy, and to try to convey that poetry. I think it's something very difficult that she has managed to achieve here. So I'll stop here, and let's open it to other people who have something to say.
Thank you so much, Abhijit, for bringing in so many aspects like the influences of painting that you found on the way Payal has composed her shorts, uh, as well as the way in which she conveys mood. And I liked the way you found parallels between the paintings and the shots in the film. That I thought was something that I had not. I mean, so much has been spoken about the film and written about, but this is not something that at least I had not come across. So thank you for that. And maybe now, Robin, would you like to say something about your experience of working in this film? And if you would like to respond to what Abhijit has spoken of, would you like to do that?
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, you are.
Yeah, nothing much to like say, like to what Abhijeet has said, just to like add on for the research part where we were extensively interviewing a lot of nurses also when visiting, um, a lot of uh, houses of a lot of people who used to work in the mills of Bombay. So yeah, that was like that was done after a lot of research, and it was for me personally a very interesting phase of my life because I'm like I go to Bombay and I work there, but it was also a process where I got to know a little bit more about where I live and all that. So Yes, like it's very personal to me also. So that's the only thing I want to like add on to what Abhijit has said. Um, to say about the experience, it's uh, I mean, what to say? I mean, so I'll just try and say how my association was uh like in this film, like how I was associated with this film. So I think it's like in 2022, like I was like Payal, I was in Bombay and Payal was there, and she asked me, hey, like, working on this film and you want to join. So I said yes, and the initial portion of the like initial work for the film which I have done was to translate the screenplay to Malayalam. So it was same time when A Night of Knowing Nothing, a previous film, was also, it was just like the first viewing in Bombay was happening, and we had a talked about it. It's also my campus, so it was like that was very personal to me. So initial process was to do the translation of the entire script, and then my focus was on majorly writing dialogues and uh, like working with actors to make it make it as good as it can get. So like I've said this before also, like it was very interesting for me to work with someone who doesn't understand language Malayalam uh, as a language, but she used to judge with the sound, and it was very interesting. Like uh, she was very specific on how she wanted the dialogue to move and flow. So as a writing exercise, also it was a challenge to like meet those intonations which she had planned out, uh, which was also part of the larger sound design and edit. Uh, that's of like I've never worked like that. I've never worked in a process where you, along with the meaning of what you write as spoken language in film, you also like try to design words around it so that it goes with the flow of the entire scheme of things as edit and sound progresses. Yeah, and the actors were all wonderful. Tintumol was also here. So worked with them a lot. We like discussed with them a lot. They've contributed a lot. And we had an extensive casting process where sometimes when you do casting a lot of like I really want to thank all the people who have cooperated with us in casting because sometimes when you like do a casting and you have written something and the person who is acting it out for casting does a better job than you do. Gives a different iteration of the dialogue and which lands really well. And when you accept it and you say, yeah, this is good, this is better than what I would do. So yeah, that's my like key points. Like immediately when I think of the film, which comes to my mind, and actually we had a lot of fun. It was a long process. Um, you know, all the recce's, the shoots, good times in Ratnagiri, Bombay also. Yeah, I mean, if there is any particular question, I can take it.
Okay, thank you so much, Robin. Tintumol, would you like to come in now?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like? Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, good evening, everyone. I am a very um, small part of this film, but this has been one of the most enriching experiences of my life because I happened to act only after like I was 28 or something, and that happened only because somebody stepped out of this drama that I was, I knew about that drama, and some of my JNU friends were in it. So once I started acting in that play, I found it. I don't know. I was a dancer, so I could never act. So for me to act was unthinkable till then. But the first play itself had such a deep impact on me that I kind of wanted to try, although I never believed I could. Even although you mentioned the award and all that, that was the only Malayalam play I did, and by fortunately, because of the director and everyone involved, I got the award and all that. And since then, I have acted in few short films, and All We Imagine as Light is my first film. And to say that itself is, it's a very proud moment, and it's very, I cherish it always. And like Robin said, um, it was a long casting process. I have auditioned for Prabha and Anu many a times. I think at least 4 times I've done. 2 times I've done for Anu, and 4 times I've done for Prabha. And in a way, I was like, okay, they must have chosen someone else after a few months. And then I got this call to act as Shanat from our executive producer Pranav Raj. And I can't tell you how happy I was to be in this movie, because I knew about Payal Kapadia because of the Golden Eye and the FTIA protest and all that. So to be in even in a passing shot in a Payal Kapadia film would have been such a privilege. I knew that, and literally kind of manifested the film. And like Robin said, the first day I went, seen that, this only probably scene with Kani, where I talk about how Anu is having an affair. I went in the morning, and I think we shot it in the evening, 4 o'clock or something. And since morning at 10, I must have done that scene rehearsal, I don't know how many times. I did it with Kani for at least 15, 20 times. I did with Naseem, another assistant director who sat with me and patiently told me how to, the way Robin mentioned the intonations, they had very clear cut instructions as to how to say the things. And I should not be so loud because the tone of the movie is little subtle, and they didn't want me to be so dramatic. And then Robin came because he was busy shooting the other scene with Anu. And then Robin had his say, and my God. And each time the rehearsal was done, my confidence was going down, thinking that, oh my God, I'm not good at it. Or maybe they are not happy with what I'm doing. But then Robin was always, once we went to the floor, Robin was very helpful and encouraging me, saying that, don't worry, we got this. And thank you, Robin. I must say, I have told him that day, but I take this opportunity also to tell him thank you. And I saw how collaboration happens in a movie set. Everyone knew what was going to happen. Everybody was um, uniformly, they all was working like a cog in a machine. Everything worked so smoothly. Only one day there was some confusion with the timings, where it was a huge scene with all the nurses and all that. Unfortunately, that didn't make it to the final cut. But everything about this movie taught me how a film should be made, how a set should be. I should say about Payal that, first of all, I'm really grateful that she gave me a chance, because I've had films where I've selected and then, the shoot cancelled or something like that, and she took a chance on me. And that will be really memorable always. And she treated everyone with so much love and respect, and the sisterhood that she always talks about when it comes to this film, she actually lives that. So many filmmakers are preachers, they do not practice it. But I really believe Pyle really believes in sisterhood, really believes in love and light, and everything she talks about through her films. At the same time, there is melancholy, and I don't think she tries to, like Sir said, does not make any ornamental language to show any kind of emotions or lives or stories. But in the mundane and in the ordinary, she brings out poetry, and that really touches your heart. And as an audience, also to watch her films, it's nothing more than sublime experience as a film viewer. So once again, thank you everyone for this opportunity. And to see this movie making ripples all over the world is something. And to actually see that youngsters are not talking about its artistic movie, but they are actually going back with some kind of thought about why these three lives of very ordinary women are so, something that is elevated artistry. That itself is the biggest takeaway, I believe. Once again, thank you for so much. Although I'm a small part, I had to say so much. I could go on and on about this forever. Thank you, ma'am, for inviting me. Thank you, Ashmita, for recommending me to Geeta, ma'am. And thank you, Abhijeet, sir, for that wonderful presentation. Thank you, Robin, again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tintumol, for sharing your experience with us. And yeah, it's now open for discussion about Bombay and the way Bombay has been depicted in the film. I think that is one of the first things that strikes any viewer of the film, where the city itself becomes a character. And personally, for me, there is a dialogue in the film where it says, Bombay is not a dream, it's an illusion. And I thought most of the Bombay shots actually lived that statement, like you would find that, the top portions of the screen would have all the lights of the city, and then below it was just, dark. So it looked like as if it was just an illusion on screen. So that part of it was something really striking for me. And Abhijit, of course, has spoken very eloquently about the characters, as well as the solidarity that one sees amongst these three women. And the last scene of the film is something that is going to, at least personally for me, stay with me forever. When I think of the best last shots of films that I have seen, this would definitely make it to that list. So I invite the others to share their experience of watching this film and also to respond to Abhijit's presentation. Anyone would like to come in now?
Geeta, just so that people gather their thoughts, I'll just come in at this point.
Sure. Please.
Okay, yeah. So a couple of things. Thanks, Abhijit. It was wonderful, to see these intermedial resonances and intermedial influences that you were kind of tracing, particularly the mood of melancholy and how that gets created in the early part of the film. And it's nice to know that it's not just the narrative, but it's in the way in which the frames are composed, the lighting and the color palette and so on. So nice nice observations that you made. Um, I was thinking of a couple of things. One that Abhijit also mentioned, the early part of the film where you hear, as it were, voiceovers, and you don't see the people who are talking. You just see various aspects of the city, as if these are uh, anonymized voices, but it could be anyone's story. So the way in which without making it particular, giving it as if it is the voice of the city, so that was a very 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 well done. The voices seem like they are from a documentary, but the way in which the voice and the visuals are composed elevate, I thought, the nature of what is being said. Also, I mean, the variety of faces we see, though they are so different, it seems as if one story could be somebody else's or other people's as well. So this idea of what you called as sisterhood, more than sisterhood, a certain kind of bond that gets created from the position they occupy as working women, but also their own position in the city as outsiders who come to Bombay. So there is a bond that gets created by their location, where they come from, what they, like they're all in some ways aliens or outsiders. So which is what kind of brings them together. That was the early part of the film, I thought was very nice. And the two intriguing moments of the film for me was, of course, one was the pressure cooker, the rice cooker, the shiny. I mean, it's like it's landed from some enchanting place. So the object itself and the aura around the object, and the way she hugs it as if it is kind of fetishized, kind of an object. And the last, where she brings a stranger, Abhijit didn't talk about that. I mean, how do we understand in a film like that? Um, it seems to be such a strange moment, where suddenly it seems like she's imagining him to be the husband, or what is he saying? When he seems to embrace the identity of her husband. I mean, it was completely a kind of a different level, or a different kind of moment in the film. I couldn't quite wrap my head around it, around what is happening, because the rest of the film is in one tenor, and this husband coming in and what happens around him, or someone who probably fulfills the place of, or the function of a man. So I thought that was interesting. And another aspect that I really loved very much, I mean, everyone has talked about Kani's acting and her melancholy, and the frames itself, which kind of droop. But Anu, my God, I mean, it's like there is so much joy. The contrast between the two was so, I mean, such a lightness to the frames when she is there, and you want to continue to keep seeing her. So this contrast between the two, I thought was also extremely wonderfully done. The sheer exuberance, liveliness of youth, this not caring for, the world at large, and so on. So I thought all that comes across wonderfully well in the film. I think I'll stop at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Nikhila. Abhijit, would you like to respond, or shall we take more comments, questions?
Yes, in fact, I was just wondering about that. Yes, so that dream sequence or whatever we might want to call it, I miss talking about that. So the way I saw it was, in a way, it's like right from the beginning, there is a certain um, dreamlike quality in the film, as in, even in the beginning when we just see these lives of these people in Bombay going on, and then we hear these stories, and then we focus or then we see for the first time Kani. So it's almost like saying that, all these people are living their lives with their own stories, and then now we are going to concentrate on one story or multiple stories or whatever. But there is a certain dreamlike imagery that is there throughout the film, where even later on there are these night scenes where she is like you mentioned, she hugs that cooker, or so the rain comes, I think, and then she goes to the window. She's always framed against a window many times, and she's looking out. And so some things are going on in her mind about her life, her husband, maybe the kind of future that, I mean, what should she do? And there's also this story about this doctor who obviously likes her and would like to perhaps have a relationship with her, maybe even get married. And he plies her with poetry, he plies her with sweets. And that scene of theirs where they are sitting, I think, in that garden or something, where he kind of proposes to her and she kind of hints that no, that's not going to be possible. So those scenes, or even some of the scenes of Anu and her lover, uh, so there is a certain dreamlike quality. So, it's like on the one side you have the hustle and bustle of the city, and on the other side you have the same city, which gives these places or these spaces to people where they can be where they can actually communicate with each other, where they can actually say things to each other. They may not, nothing might come out of it really, but there is a certain dreamlike aspect that suddenly, there is this quiet corner in which the couple is sitting and then they're talking about something, and then suddenly the rain comes, or there's the night. She's sleeping at night, and suddenly the rain comes, and then she has to clean, and then there is the cooker. And so, in that whole dark, glowing, bluish, dark light of the night, you suddenly have this red cooker. So, to me, also, that also is a kind of a surreal image or dreamlike image. And so, there are these hints throughout the film that it is the realistic story and it is that dreamlike imagery. And then it is in that sequence that Nicola talked about, the dreamlike imagery comes to the fore, and it's almost like to me, it's like catharsis for Prabha. That, she has, throughout this film, she has carried this pain in her heart about her husband that is missing, who's missing. And there is this guy who is a Malayali, and he is of the same age, presumably, as her husband. And even that old lady, she confuses them to be husband and wife, and all this. And the fact that she has gone through this experience of somebody coming ashore almost dead, and then she has revitalized him, or she's brought him back to life. So it's in that state that she has this illusion, or even a hallucination, if you would like to call it, which works like a catharsis, and which kind of, just removes that pain of her husband, and kind of externalizes it to something else, or objectifies it into that guy who is lying on that bed. And once that happens, then she becomes free. And so it is kind of necessary. So just like with Anu, it is the scene in the cave, and where she's looking at these images of women from many many years ago, and she's I think he says, her boyfriend says that you look like her for one figure when she's standing in front of it, and then she sees the graffiti, and then it's like, so the sensuousness that she has and the vivacity that she has right from the beginning, it comes to the fore, and then there is the sex scene, which works like a catharsis for her. And then for Prabha, it is this fantasy, or this hallucination that works like a catharsis. And to Parvati, I guess, of course, just coming back to her village, and the sea, and the way she is out there finally free to be herself, and she doesn't have to worry about what is going to happen in her life, and nobody's going to evict her from this place, and so on. So all these three women, uh, through these, you can say, elements, or through these story plot points, they have found a freedom,
They
and which
think
makes,
the whole experience is a cathartic experience.
I'm sorry.
No, please go on, Abhijit.
Oh, okay. Um, so I find that the hallucination that Prabha has becomes, or makes possible, the euphoria that we feel and the characters feel in the end scene, in the last scene. So
Yeah.
she's freed of her burden, that burden that she's been carrying throughout the film.
Yeah. And I think for the first time, she quite emphatically says, I don't want to see you ever again. So that is the last statement that she makes in that particular scene. So, like you spoke about catharsis, it also works as some kind of a realization for
Right,
herself,
right.
self realization, so to speak. Yeah. Any other responses?
Hi, ma'am. Can I?
Yeah,
Hello.
Shaila, please go ahead.
I just want to extend what we are discussing, what Nicola ma'am said, what Abhijeet sir said, regarding the last episode where she meets this man whom she fantasizes as a husband. I find somewhat similar to that in the beginning, in the first scene where we see her patient. She's helping one old woman, and that woman says, "I see my husband on the chair. He's sitting right there." Somewhere I find the way the director tried to you know uh, make it a point to like pay off in the end by saying that that woman was dreaming, and she was dreaming that man her husband in a certain way, and even in the end she says, our protagonist says that she doesn't want to see this husband anymore. It feels like somewhere she's able to say it out in the end. And even the way three women have been structured, their age, the way they have been placed in their life, in their position, like Anu and Parvati and Prabha, all of these three women who are situated in different age and different stages in their life, sort of bring out the essence of woman and womanhood, which happens in everyone's life. So I just wanted to bring out that moment where you feel cathartic at the end, where she says that I don't want to see you anymore. It's similar to that old woman who couldn't do that, probably. I don't know. I just wanted to open and ask you guys regarding what you guys see, how that old woman in the beginning who says she saw her husband and no legs on thing, he's just sitting there and staring at her, vis-a-vis to how Prabha was talking to her husband, confronting him. So I wanted to ask you guys your views regarding that.
Any more response? Abhishek Chaturvedi, would you like to come in now? There's a question in the chat box from Anish Mundra. The husband showing up, is it something like coincidences that happen in Bollywood, but given a more realistic flavor, showing how the coincidences might not be very happy? This is from Anish Mundra. Would Abhijit, would you like to respond to this?
Yes, I was just reading that. So, in a way, like I said, it isn't the husband that's showing up. Or if the husband shows up, then it's in her mind. And I think what Shaila said just now about, that scene in the beginning where a patient talks about how her husband visits her at night. And it is very obvious in that scene that it's not her real husband that has come there, but it is, something that is happening in her mind. So in a way, it's a clue to this dream-like things happening. So there is, on the surface or at one level, there is a realistic story or even a neo-realistic story, if we may say so, about these three women and their lives. And at another level, there is this their desires, their um emotions, and their traumas also, because Prabha is very obviously traumatized by this experience of her marriage. And she has, it's like a lot has been bottled up inside her. And we see that throughout the film until that point of catharsis. And so, in a way, that person whom she has brought to life becomes a trigger for her to think of her husband. So she is inside her mind, she is having a dialogue with her husband, and that works to free her. And that is how it works. So in a way, uh, it's like she finds her happiness with an accident or with a coincidence. But it's not really a coincidence like in a Hindi film, in the sense that uh, if at all the coincidence is just that, there is this man who is brought ashore and he's dying, and because she's a nurse, she jumps in and she performs this thing on him and CPR on him, and he is revitalized. So that is the coincidence, and that is in a way uh, uh, what brings to her mind, and of course the fact that this old woman has confused, or she thinks that this is husband and wife, and so therefore she talks to Prabha like that. So these two things kind of drive Prabha to think of her husband. So in that sense, it's a coincidence, but not quite a Hindi film like coincidence, if I may say so.
Thank you, Abhijeet. Cherian, would you like to come in now?
Yeah, good evening. Now, everybody is talking about realistic and neo-realistic aspect of the film. I have an issue with it because coming from Kerala and knowing what nurses are in that society, I have serious problem with the characterization of the two nurses, because nurses are for the last 50 years have been the aspirational aspect of Kerala society, because from the lower middle class families, girls used to get into nursing, and they come to the big cities with the hope that they can immigrate to the Gulf or the America or other places. So of course some of them are get caught like Prabha, but there is a family. Their families are constantly behind them, because the families. I know many cases where the nurse was getting in 80s 20,000 rupees. She sends 10,000 rupees back to Kerala, and with the mobiles on, it's a constant pull, towards the family and other things. So I don't find any realism or neo-realism in it. It's just characters she has done. Uh, because it is honored in Cannes, I don't consider it as a great film. It's a good film. It's a good film for a debut filmmaker, because uh, because the way it has lot of feminine things, a lot of interesting aspects of Bombay has come in, and nobody has shown Bombay so realistically in recent times, like the way Payal has done. And also, when somebody talk about 200 people were interviewed and all, I don't know what happened. How did the whole story got enriched after these interviews and all? Because I look at the film as a whole, total in a total fashion, not as frames or scenes or anything. What is that film gives me? What is the experience the film gives me in 2 hours? So I find it's little, mm, a little confused after seeing the film. I had great expectations. Maybe, I saw it in OTT. So I will say that the Bombay aspect is fine, but the characterization and of course she has brought in certain issues like the way the builders and the post mill thing of Bombay, where everything is all the social and social movements and trade union movements, everything is gone, and they are all people are left to fend for themselves. So all these things are beautifully done. But I'm very intrigued about the nurses part of it, because the nurses are the ones who uplifted the Kerala lower middle class into middle class or upper middle class. If you go and see the areas where these people immigrated, to the extent that when 80s, when I visited New York, there was a joke that in weekends in New York hospitals, the official language is Malayalam. because no local person, the white or the blacks, wanted to be on the weekend working. But the Malayali nurses will opt because it's more salary, more money for them, and more they can send more money back home. So it's so they were very very hardworking people with a lot of aspirations. They carry the aspirations to the family, and then and then lower middle class of Kerala, and in 2024, if you have a film like this, I won't call it realistic. I'll say it's a bird's eye view of a filmmaker who is based in Bombay. He doesn't know much of this the where how these nurses, if you have more nurses in across India from Kerala, why is it so? There's a reason behind it. So I will say all that imagine all I generally joke about it, saying that all that imagine as great films may not be that great. It will be just good. So I wish all the best for Pyle and her admirers and the crew and everything. I look for the second film. Why I say is that her senior, Shaji and Karun had, you said talked about Soham. Before that, there's a film called Piravi, which the first film, debut film of Shaji. Just again got a special regard, honor in at Cannes. And in fact, Shaji kept, the last time I was talking to him, he said that, yeah, it's the Olympiad of films, nothing like that honor in Cannes. So that's all fine. But I'll say I'll wait for Payal's next film to say, great. This for me, it's a good film. The experience is okay, but she doesn't take me anywhere. Other than some visuals, some good visuals, some good situations, and well, I may be biased because I've been seeing somewhat good films for the last 40, 45, 46, 47 years. So I may be biased because I may not be looking at from the new gen's viewpoint, but I think all great films have certain qualities, and I will say that, well, Payal is yet to reach there. Can she got that? She got the best film honor. All the best to her. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Cherian, for bringing in a different point of view about the film. Abhijeet, would you like to respond?
Um, in a way, it's a film that has divided many people. So I have met other people who, in fact, at least Cherin sir is saying that he is a good film, but I've met people who just hated that film and they were, completely disappointed or whatever you may call it. And those are, of course, personal opinions or experiences of people, and perhaps, sometimes even winning the award in Cannes may have elevated people's expectations to a level where they found the film to be a disappointment. And, there is nothing that one can do about it, honestly. If it's a disappointment for somebody, then that is how it is. Regarding the realistic aspect, the only thing I would say is that, even in the so-called neorealistic films, there are, of course, aspects that, that are there to drive the story, like the bicycle getting stolen in Bicycle Thieves, or, um, even in Rai's films, for example, Durga's death at the end of Pather Panchali. So is these kinds of dramatic constructs that are I mean, we have to kind of, I always say to my students that cinema is a construct. It is, even if we say that it is a realistic film or a neo-realistic film or any other kind of film, every frame or every piece of decor that you are going to see in that person's house or office or wherever, it is a construct. Somebody has put it there and somebody wants it there because they want to have that frame like that, they want to have that space like that, and so on. and so we can never escape that fact. And so it is obvious that it's these three characters, the main three characters in the film, they are constructed. So Prabha is having a certain personality wherein so she is perhaps like Chirin sir said, she does come from a lower middle class family, and that family has married her off. And so what if the husband is in Germany, and so what if the husband hasn't seen her for many years, and so on. In a way, after having married her off, the family is kind of not bothered unless she seeks some help, or she says that I'm not getting something out of this marriage, or I'm not happy, or whatever. And she is the kind of person who is, as we see her on screen, she carries on her life without complaints. And so perhaps that is why she has reached a point in her life where the family is not really such a large part of her life, and even the absence of the husband is kind of internalized. Whereas if you see Anu, because she's younger and she's yet to get married, we do have these constant calls from her mother, and she's trying to avoid answering that call. And at the same time, a certain bond with the family is also there, wherein when she reaches a low point, she actually calls her mom and talks to her mom. So we see the kind of aspects that Chirin sir was talking about. We do see certain how do you call it, manifestations of these in the film. But we do have to accept that these are characters that are constructed. So, if that contrast wasn't there between Anu and Prabha, the dramatic aspects of the film would be different. And so that contrast between their two personalities is very much constructed. Or even with Parvati's character, that kind of a feisty, fighting spirit that she shows, it is very different from Prabha's character. And again, that is what makes the film or the story interesting. And so we have to accept that it is a construct that is put in the script with that kind of a thought. And so is it realistic or not? I don't know if I have, I don't know if I can say anything about that honestly, because it is constructed. And so it is like, do you accept the construct or not? So if you don't, of course, it won't gel with you. But that's all one can say.
Yes, thank you, Abhijit. Robin, would you like
Yeah.
to respond to
Yeah.
Cherian's?
Yeah. Thank you, Chirin sir, for your valuable insights. Um, what I was I was thinking while he was also saying, while the characterization was didn't work for him. I was thinking of what didn't work. But again, like I was so this at least I could say for Prabha's character is inspired from a lot of nurses who Payal has also met personally and was lived in Bombay. I didn't quite understand what was the sociological aspect. I mean, I'm sure like there is no denial that nurses are the fabric of like the spine of our social development in of Kerala. But we were trying to look at nurses who are still in Bombay or like across India and like how their lives are. I'm sure that if the like there are situations where nurses are uh, like a nurse from a family is considered as someone who can earn and she has facilitated for the family her entire life, forgetting her own life. Like such, when we were researching, we came across many stories like that. I think it's the collection of all those people which is reflected in the character. Secondly, I was an extension to what Abhijit sir said. It's also construct. It's realism, and so somebody has earlier said that the function of language might be to say that all the leaves in a tree are green, but poetry is looking at the color of a particular leaf. So maybe we were trying to do that, and maybe I don't. That's why it is landed like that.
No, I totally understand. My problem is with the social placement of these people from the milieu which they come from. So that's, I think I find it very shallow to be true. I think if it was placed, properly, maybe the character should have been much more stronger. Yes, I accept that it's all is a construct. Everything in the film is construct. Nothing is, they're recreating for the story, for the narrative which they want to say. That's accepted. So my point is that all the great films are done in such a way that what stands out is the milieu, the placement of these characters, not just in the narrative, but in the social placement, the personal placement, all those
Can
things.
you
That's where
elaborate a little bit so that we can also know that how the social placement, like why did you feel that the social placement was a bit off?
Yeah, it is like a newspaper report. The characters.
Okay.
So you have nurses in Bombay and Delhi and across the Malayali nurses. They are shabbily dressed, face in in then in kind of lower class areas. So all these things are, I think, newspaper reports. Nothing more than that.
Okay. Fabian has put up something on the chat. Would you like to speak, Fabian? Or should I read it out? Okay, Fabian says, thank you for sharing this film, a very coherent artistic work. The story is well mastered and the end of the film is gorgeous. Most filmmakers have difficulties with their ends, like novelists. The actors are intense. Their emotional intensity was well noted by the French public. I'm so happy that Khan finally understood how important this film is. Only ordinary people making good cinema because they open to social analysis. And as an anthropologist, I suggest that this film is a piece of ethnography. Thank you so much for this film, which deserves the Palme d'Or. This is Fabien's point of view. And
Ma'am,
yeah.
I would like to say something.
Yes, please, Tintumol, please.
Not a response or not offended by what Styrians have said. But the minute I watched this film at Kochi with Payal and Kani and Divya, the lead actresses, and some of Robin wasn't there, but rest of the crew, most of the crew were there. And I watched it with a friend, a JNU friend, and the first thing he turned around and told me was that Chechi, you are Prabha. So I would say I know two nurses who are exactly like Prabha, who are estranged, have an estranged husband, and unfortunately they have a child. She has a child, and she lives almost a life of a heretic. She cannot get out of that conservative mold, and she looks down upon others who are, what do you say, little like Anu, who is vivacious and young and vibrant and all that. So I personally know women who are like that, and whether one of them, this particular lady I was talking about, is a nurse, and others who are living a life. Uh, um, Maybe bound by societal norms or some kind of blocks or trauma, like Sir Abhijit sir said, traumatized, not exactly by the marriage and the resultant estrangement and all that, maybe even before that. So there are such stories, and there are not all nurses are actually living. I know nurses who are only earning 20,000, like you rightly pointed out, sending 10,000 rupees home, and they actually live a very poor life, socially or economically. They are nowhere in the map. And for you, sir, maybe you might not have come across such women who are silent and who suppress their dreams and their aspirations. Yeah, I just wanted to point out that. I have one question for Robin. Robin, I wanted to ask you, but every time I forget to ask you these questions. I really loved the title, Malayalam title, Prabhaya Innanichadella. Was that your contribution?
Like everything else, it was also a collective effort actually. So we have asked a lot of friends also, like, and a lot of people contributed, and finally, from all the contributions, like we sat and figured out. Me and Payal was trying to make a name out of it. So it would not be right to say that it's my contribution. I might have been in charge of compiling and making the name out of it. Yeah, that's
But it is actually a very good translation of All We Imagine as Light. Many people actually find the phrase, the English phrase itself, problematic. And of course, it is a painting of Nalini ma'am.
Payal's. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, in fact, what I found interesting was that, Prabha, the word in Sanskrit, and I guess even in Malayalam, it means light,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
but
Yeah,
which, of course, gets lost in translation unless you're aware of that.
Yeah.
so this
Yeah.
is
Thank you, Tintumol and Abhijeet and Robin. Basav, you have raised your hand. Please go ahead.
Vasav, you're.
Basav, would you like to speak? Are you
Sorry,
there?
I'm on mute for some reason. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, we
Okay,
can.
great. Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to say that I watched it in PVR. I think that sort of affected my viewing experience a little bit, because it felt like it was a very intimate film, and somehow the whole PVR environment with people buying and stuff all the time, etc., did not really work for me. So I would have probably preferred to watch it. Later I watched it in a film festival setting, and it was much much better. I mean, to respond to some of the conversation which Charian sir initiated, is that I felt like, the film is really unique in the sense that we don't make films in India which deal with interiority so much. We are more interested in the social aspects rather than the individualistic interior aspects, so to say. So in that way, I felt it was very, very unique because it really goes into the interiority of women, which is, again, I mean, even when we have had films like 27 Down, we are into interiority of men. So in this way, I felt it was very unique in that aspect because it really goes into the interiority of women, which we are unfamiliar with a little bit as far as Indian cinema goes. And within that, marginalized women's interiority is quite interesting. But yes, there were some inconsistencies in the sense that Kani's character obviously has a much more foregrounding in the whole narrative. But for example, Chaya's character is unfortunately somehow, I think, gets dropped off a little bit without much explanation. So those kind of plot things are there. But I felt like the strength of the film was in sort of manifesting the interiority of women on cinema, which is very, very difficult. Anyone who makes film will know that depicting interiority on screen is always a hell of a difficult job. So I thought that way the script was very interesting. Of course, I felt there was a little bit of romanticization of the politics a little bit, but but I guess that was not the intention at all, to sort of examine the current political scenario so much, so to say. It was just again, extension of character whenever there was a little bit of politics in the film, like the stone throwing scene, etc., at the hoarding. So yeah, I mean, I was very impressed with the whole interiority aspect of the film. Uh, there are some clear influences. I felt like Victor Erice's film Close Your Eyes had some similar scenes that I saw especially in the climax, I felt. But I wanted to ask Robin and maybe Tintamol also, that too. I don't know if there was, with relation to cinematography, was there any discussion of the visual language of the film? It would be interesting to understand what was the sort of the intent of this visual language, which is sort of austere, but also sometimes, like when you watch it in PVR, for example, it looks, uh, it doesn't really come across as, how do I put it? In the sense that it didn't really satisfy, let's say, the visual language I felt could have been much more interesting, especially like the dawn market of Dadar, that shot. Which is there, which many of us, if we take from a phone on the bus, would get a similar shot. So I would really wonder what was the, I mean, I'm simplifying for the sake of conversation, of course, but I'm curious about what was the discussion around how the film should look, is what I'm very, very interested in. Yeah.
So largely the referencing was, or the conversation was between Pyle, the cinematographer, and the production designers. But like from whatever I know, Abhijeet was saying, there were references of paintings, and I think Pyle also liked this painter, French painter called Felix Villotton. And also, we did extensive wrecking, so the tonality which the city itself presented, I think, has, like, there was an attempt to bring it into the interiors as well, and to look at the shades like that. And there was there was a conscious effort to to try out the look and feel before shoot, and try to do a conducive lighting. So I think it is the city part of it, at least, has to, was decided with all these factors, I think. I'm sure that the cinematographer or Pyle would be able to tell more about it, but this is my understanding. So, like, our monsoon blues. So even it was not. It was also in the script, actually. Like the color of monsoon also, it was like, that was the behind the decision as well, I think.
Thank you.
Uh,
Yes, please go ahead.
so I wanted to ask Robin, because just extending what Basar was talking about, I didn't find lot of camera movements, whereas there are a lot of shots which is very static, long shots, very there's no shaky camera movements involved in the film, which I feel again adds to the realism we were talking about, neorealistic filmmaking which we were talking about, even the costume or even the makeup which adds on to the production of the film, the construction of the outer look of the film. It finds not like how we see the more dramatized, stylized form of filmmaking. So do you guys make this in a discussion where the camera movements, how it is, even in the bus, there's not much shake. It's like as though it's just a very steady shot, for example, the
Um,
bus scene.
yeah, but technically, if you're seeking, a very few shots, I think, were taken on tripods. So basically, it was like a hanging from a bungee kind of an operation. So there was slight, very mild movement in the shots, a lot. It was not very shaky, but there was this fluid way of uh, you know composing was there. Um, Now your question was like, what was the discussion of, like, deciding this, right?
Yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah, I mean,
But whereas Anu's character, there's more of, there is more of lively sort of shots, even the
mhm.
market shots, or when she was with her boyfriend. There's a difference in the contrast when there are shots with Anu vis-a-vis
uh,
with Prabha.
I think it's the extension of the characters itself, that is
Right.
like motivated for such a design. I think there are shared spaces, and there are spaces where I know is alone and Prabhas alone. So I think it is extension of characters, and how the city is you know it's different for, but at the same time, it's beautiful also, but it's inconvenient also. So if you imagine, if it rains in Bombay, I mean, it's nice to look at and all that, but if you have to reach your office, or you, if you have to reach your job on time, then everything gets stuck. There is this difficulty, like, depending on what class you belong to and all that. So also there is this like aspect of freedom and all that when you come from, especially for like for women, when you come from a very conservative, semi-urban space, or like very patriarchal, urban spaces, where where we all come from. So I think these are the things that might have led for the, you know, yeah, kind of creative choices that they've made.
Yeah, thank you. Usha had raised, Usha, you had raised your hand some time ago. Would you like to come in now? Okay. Yeah, there's also a comment in the chat box from Shubha. Very enriching discussion. Enjoyed the movie for its strong female cast. While The City of Dreams offers little respite to the harrowed lives of the three women protagonists, they at least come to terms with their not so perfect lives, individuality, sense of freedom, and dreams. Yeah. Any other interventions? Any comments, questions?
I would like to just say that the edit was superb. I tried to remember the name, but I think it was somebody from France or something, Clement something, I forgot.
Yeah,
Uh,
Clement Pinto.
yeah, I thought because waits, he cuts it unusually at unusual places. It's very interesting, and that really lends to the lingering nature of the camera, which adds to the exposure of interiority in a way, it's a little bit on faces, and it stays longer than you would expect, say, in a standard edit kind of scenario. That I really loved. Again, I mean, it would have been great to have Payal here or
Yeah,
be
absolutely.
here to answer some of these technical or rather aesthetic choices. Because I also felt was very curious that there is this very popular Western music now that she uses a Western. I forgot, it was some African artist whose music is used, I think the piano play, and then even the final piece of music which sort of goes on for the credits roll, which is an amazing piece of music that she uses. So I mean, those choices are like, very unusual choices, I guess, because you're on one. I think that's why the confusion for many Indian viewers, I feel, because we are also thinking that it's a realism, and then we are sort of, but we are finding some of these choices which are not really in the realism realm, so to say, in the way we know social realism. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, that was just a comment come slash question. If Robin wants to add to it, I guess, yeah, or Tintumol for that matter, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the question of realism was a difficult
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
So this was
yeah. Because everybody
so
feels once you have a marginalist story that you will have problems of their money, this, that, but it is not about that.
yeah,
It is about them and their emotional life, so to
yeah,
say.
desires
Yeah,
also.
yeah. So
A lot
it's
of
not really about the day-to-day problems, so to say, which we are used to in our realism films, so to say. Yeah.
and realism also. Like first time when I was reading the screenplay, like my favorite scene was the scene with the man who they just saved from the sea. We used to call him the drowned man. So it was, it was so it was nice that, see, for me, it was very interesting to um uh, that it had an element of, say, folk tale also in this. It's a very when towards the end of the film when this man comes back, so it had those qualities which for me that was which made me like really close to that film. So
Yeah, but that Marquesian thing didn't work for me, where it didn't.
oh, okay.
Yeah, which
The
Anand,
magical realism
my
was
good friend Anand Sami, his body comes up. But I mean, so I didn't know why it was, because it is sudden shift, no, in the and the people who have seen till then the film, it's sort of, it's very hard for them to really figure out what the hell is happening there, right? So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was in the sparse dialogues, maybe a little more nudging. It didn't work for me, but yes, I don't know. Maybe for everyone else it worked, looks like. But yeah, so that is a little tricky, I felt. Yeah, I mean, you can probably say why you felt that was very interesting for you.
I mean that like it was not while at least I read the screenplay before, so it was not difficult for me to wrap my head around this because see it's also like where for me the closure was much needed for Prabha, and it was not going to come from Germany, so she had to create her own closure, and in that way it worked for me. Like when I was watching, like I was reading this screenplay. Yeah. So it's also about taking agency is what I felt like not sitting back anymore. It was the like Prabha being like so like I think Abhijit said to become free that initiative like uh then she only took it was nice to like the form to say this idea the form she adopted Pyle adopted was what's very beautiful. I felt it was very beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because the other reason why it didn't work for me is because till then we didn't have any male character whose interiority we are bothered about. Suddenly we have to worry about this husband who has come
Okay.
from all the way, right? So I felt that it was a little bit anathema to the rest of the because we're not really worried about Divya Prabha's boyfriend, or the poor colleague
Doctor.
of Kani, who is excellently played. I felt it was a very melancholically played role.
Uh,
Uh, so that, I mean, we don't really bother about them. The script is very clearly focused on the women, but suddenly then we have this. Uh, yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
must add something. I auditioned, like I said, I auditioned for Prabhas role also, and I was given four scenes, and one of the scene was with this drowned man from the sea, and although I didn't know the entire storyline, then I knew I had a synopsis, and even in the synopsis, it was written as drowned man from the sea. So, and when I was acting it out with my friend, even like Robin said, and even Abhijit sir said, it was actually her finding that light, or her finding that she was, I think, stuck in that uh, self-made prison of not moving, because this I again, like you rightly pointed out, Asisika had done a marvelous job as Suresh, Dr. Manoj, and there were more scenes with Manoj. Obviously it didn't make to the final cut, and how he really really loved Prabha, nurse Prabha. And for me also, when I acted it out also, I thought, after all that Prabha has been through, she needed that one thing to get her out of that loop of loneliness and a self-made prison.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Tintumol. Yeah, thank you, Basav. Any other interventions, comments, questions?
That point that Shaila made in the beginning, I thought was, in some ways a response to Basav and this conversation. I had not noticed it. I mean, it was so important. I mean, the old woman wants her husband not to appear anymore. So it is freedom from the husband that she's seeking. So it's kind of a mental or hallucinatory image that she wants freedom from. So it looks pretty much like that it's the construct of the husband that she wants a freedom from, and it is embodied in the drowned man being designated as husband. So I just wanted to make that point. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Nikhila. Any other comments? Samvartha, would you like to say something?
Can I make one last
Yeah.
point? Yeah, so I wanted to just add what Basa was discussing about how the whole film was concentrating on the woman, and suddenly at the end, there's this appearance of the husband. I strangely find it odd that the men, for me, the men role in the film was as significant as the interiority of the film itself. So I find it was important for her to, accept everything in her life, including the men, which is again very strong pole in one woman's life, which is very evident in all three characters. And the way I keep forget Parvati says that, you need to, your life will be fine if you're alone. Somewhere it just comes back to that point. I feel that, at the end where, she just says, I don't need you anymore in my life. And Parvati had already echoed this, that, when they're in her house searching for the document, she says, you're fine being alone. You know and it was important. The men role in the whole film made appear evidently outside, or it is a conversation about the husband or anything. I find it very important, the role of gender of the male in the film, for the whole film to come across the way it has come right now. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Shaila. Any other comments, questions? Okay, if there are no more interventions, I would like to bring this session to a close. Thank you so much, Robin, Tintumol, Abhijeet, for accepting our invitation and joining this session. Thank you, Abhijeet, for initiating the discussion. And thank you all for joining in. Thank you very much. Good night. Have a nice Sunday.
Hi,
Thank
good
you.
night.
Everyone, good night.
Night.
Good.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Tintumol and Abhijeet. Thank you.
Thank you so
Ma'am,
much. Thank you
thanks
so
for
much for
inviting.
having us.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.